Welcome back to Saying Yes Again. I'm Dr. Lisa,
And I'm Tony.
and today we are talking about a very emotionally bad topic.
It really is. This is going to be so hot and emotional for a lot of people, especially us, right, Dr. Lisa?
Yes, absolutely. So, what are we talking about today, honey?
Who comes first, your spouse or your children?
Ooh. Welcome to Saying Yes Again.
A podcast about second chances, real love, and opening your heart after heartbreak.
We're your hosts, Dr. Lisa,
And Tony,
a midlife couple who found love after divorce. And now we're here to share our story.
and to remind you that it's never too late to say yes again.
So put on your headphones and listen closely because your next yes could be the one that changes everything. So this topic has been in the media for quite some time. I mean, if you go and just search the internet, spouse versus kids, you'll just see a whole back and forth commentary about,
You will.
arguments about one side versus the other. So it's a topic I think that's gone on for a long time. It crosses generations, first marriages, second marriages. So we thought we'd just talk about it today.
Yes, yes. And to be honest, it's a very sensitive issue,
Very.
especially in this household. She hasn't told y'all yet, but it's very, very sensitive. So I am walking a fine line here,
Oh,
but we're going to deal with it.
gosh. Oh, gosh.
We're going to deal with it, right, babe?
We are. We are. We want to start bringing you guys topics that really relates, I think, to kind of what we're going through in our second marriage. So hopefully you guys can learn a little bit from us as well. And
Yes.
we can just have this discussion out in the open.
Gentlemen, tread thinly. This is a very sensitive issue. So pray for me while we're doing this right now.
Y'all mama bears out there, come on.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a sensitive topic.
You're a mama bear too. So let me ask a dangerous question right now out the gate, right? Who comes first in life after marriage, your spouse or your children?
Mm.
And before y'all answer too fast, understand that this question has started arguments in homes, churches, family cookouts, parties, what have you, right? But again, we're not dealing with this subject matter for argumentative reasons. We just know that it needs to be dealt with. So,
Mhm.
you and I have kind of bounced things off of one another, and
Yeah.
she's kind of put, don't cross that line. So let's talk about it, right?
Yeah. So like we said, this is a very emotionally loaded conversation that we're about to have. And the truth is, the conversation becomes even more complicated, I think, in blended families, right? Second marriages, when you have adult children, because the
Yeah.
dynamics are different. Difficult dealing in like co-parenting situations.
Yeah.
And honestly, like in homes where you know, things have just not been resolved, right? Where emotions are still really high. This just definitely comes up as a emotionally loaded topic.
So still trending some of those emotions from those previous marriages or previous relationships.
Yeah.
And so then when I show up, it's like, and I interject, it's like, how dare you?
Oh,
So how do we
gosh.
deal with that and maintain a wholesome marriage or relationship? Right,
Yeah.
babe?
Yeah. So let's do it. Let's talk about it.
All right. Whew. Yeah. Now somebody's already tightening up in the chest right now, right? So
hmm
let's do it. I'm gonna ask you guys directly. Who comes first?
Are you asking me or are you asking the audience?
You can tell I'm afraid to ask you. So I'm trying to talk in a third party respect, but no, to you right now, Dr. Lisa,
Who comes
AKA
first?
my babe,
Mm.
AKA my boo. Who comes first?
So, if you would have asked me years ago, and I mean years ago, like probably in my first marriage, I might have said my children.
Okay.
And that's only just because it was a different time, I was young. I think that's kind of,
Different
what different
dynamics?
dynamics, all of that. Wasn't really thinking about the connotation sort of what that meant.
Mhm.
But if you
Mhm.
ask me now, I would say you, babe, my spouse.
You said now you just saying that because we're doing this podcast right now today?
No, I'm really not saying that because we're doing the podcast. I think it's come with growth and it's come with understanding that the fact that I say my spouse doesn't mean that I neglect my children, right? It doesn't mean that I don't love my children. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't do anything in the world for them. And it doesn't mean that, there's a competition going on.
Right, right,
So
right.
I think that's sort of sometimes where people get lost. This is not a competition. It's not about, you saying that you would not do for, your children, but it's just a matter of how you want to raise or develop that foundation in your household.
Now you guys notice how calmly and how eloquently she just spoke that into existence, right? And I know everybody out there in the audience just gasped. How dare you? How dare you? But let's kind of put things into perspective, right?
Yeah. So before you come with your angry comments, just hear us out and
Yes,
just listen to the full episode. And you might come away with, a different answer for you and for your household. And that's okay.
that's
But
true.
before, any angry comments, kind of come our way, let's talk about sort of why that is. And again, putting your spouse first does not mean not loving your children or loving them less. That's not really what this is about.
Exactly. That's strong. And I'm glad you clarified that for everybody,
Hmm. Hmm.
especially myself, because I'm listening,
Yeah.
right?
And I think so. I just want to sort of share a little bit about because I've been kind of just researching this myself as well. So just to get other perspectives. But when you talk to or survey, marriage therapists and experts around this topic, they
Okay.
generally agree that prioritizing your spouse over your children is essential for a stable, thriving family.
Okay.
And their argument is that, developing that strong, secure, nurturing marriage acts as a foundation for the entire household
Oh, wow.
and creates a sense of safety for children and modeling healthy relationship skills,
Okay. So
right?
did you guys hear that? Maintaining a legitimate foundation. That's strong. Like anchoring the relationship, anchoring the marriage. It doesn't mean like a tug of war in terms of who's important between the spouse and the children,
Yeah.
as much as it means maintaining a legitimate foundation within a marriage
Yeah.
or relationship, whatever your situation looks like.
And I think the other thing that came up was also about this would be important, like, for people who are in maybe first marriages, right?
Okay.
And they
All
have
right.
raised their children, that it prevents that whole, empty nest disconnect. So, after the children leave, right,
Okay.
it's just you and your spouse,
Yes.
and so the focus really is not on them anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're kinda just left with if you get given all of your energy and your time to your children, which is important, but you've
Okay.
neglected the foundation, then when the empty nest situation arises.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up that point, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. I've been doing some reading lately on a lot of people. Majority of them are like professional athletes. Is after the children are gone, maybe you have one or two or three children. After the children are grown and gone, like you mentioned, Dr. Lisa, all of a sudden, and I'm sure people have seen this, the marriage is just dissolved.
Mm,
They're non-existent
yeah,
because what Dr. Lisa has mentioned is that you have to anchor your marriage, your relationship in a body of love. And so you guys have to, meaning the husband and wife, have to have a legitimate foundation. And then everything else flourishes or,
yeah,
from that point. And if you don't have that, you'll be like a lot of people that you see in the news. As soon as the
yeah,
kids are gone, we're talking about alimony, child support,
mhm,
etc. And it's kind of like, well, how'd they get to this space? Where's their love? Did they ever love one another?
mhm,
So that's a good point.
yeah,
Good
and
job.
and I think it's more than just, affects more than just, athletes. It affects the everyday, couple.
Exactly.
So a lot of, divorces happen, like you mentioned, because of that empty nest syndrome. So when we talk about putting your spouse first in blended families, right,
Okay.
or in remarriages,
All
it's
right.
kind of around that same theme, of building a foundation, modeling healthy relationship, but it's also protecting now what's going to be your long-term partner,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
That's
In this
important.
second half, like, we ain't trying to do this again.
That's important.
We're not trying to go through that again, rather,
No,
right?
that's important.
Um,
That's really important.
yeah. So, and older children at this point, are self-sufficient for the most part. Hopefully we have raised them to be able to be great adults and do the things that they need for themselves. And we don't really want to create an environment where they feel like, they can come and sort of disrupt, right?
Yeah.
A,
Like they
a
have that
new a new
leverage.
relationship.
And the beautiful thing about our children, right? I don't, I never see that. I don't
Yeah.
see them pitting you against me
Oh,
or me
absolutely
against
not.
you. They
Absolutely.
show you just as much love as they show me, etc.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I
I'm
adore it.
very happy about the newfound love.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think you did a wonderful job
yeah.
raising the kids, babe.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You know?
Yeah. So what do you think that parents do wrong?
Um, in terms of clarify that for the audience.
Yeah, so what do you think that parents do wrong in the sense that they might sort of be moving, in that direction of
Sometimes I see parents like overcorrecting emotionally, you know?
Mm,
I've seen this in my family. I've seen this, I've seen you do it periodically. I love you, but I got to keep it, perfectly honest. Just trying to be everything to the children, even when they become adults. And sometimes you kind of walk that fine line, that chalk line, and you kind of overextend yourself.
mhm,
You know what I mean? Sometimes we might become too protective, right? Until to the point that we kind of smother or stifle the growth
mm,
in these adult children, right?
mm.
So,
Okay. So why does this topic trigger people?
well, let's be fair. I mean, there are people listening right now. My children did come first before I had to protect them. When you get divorced or you have a bad relationship, all you have is your children. And they step up. They step up. My children have stepped up. My bonus children have stepped up for Lisa. They've done a phenomenal job. So they start occupying a space that's desperately, in some ways, needed to be occupied. Being the friend for mom, being the comfort, being the protector. And then it's kind of hard to differentiate between those little roles.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think I better give her the mic right now. She has got a look on her face. So I think that's kind of what
Uh,
happens, babe.
yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, so to a certain extent, I agree, and I think that if we
To a
have
certain extent?
yeah, because I mean, if we've raised our children correctly, then they will be there for us in time of need,
Yes,
right? So
yes,
so that's a wonderful thing I think that happens. And I also think that, as parents, or especially as moms, our nature is one of nurturing, but it's also one of protection. So we want to protect our children, right?
yes,
Um that's sort of what we do. We protect our children.
exactly.
So even in situations where, again, we're introducing them to a new partner, it's all new for them,
Yeah,
right?
a new mate, a new
It's
partner.
whether they're young or old.
Yeah,
So it's new for them. So
mhm,
we want to just make sure that their emotions are also protected as well.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we talked about that before in one of our other podcasts, so that's very important, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So that's where I mentioned we have to kinda slide into the relationship or the marriage. We can't come in there all demonstrative and everything, like you've been there for 10,000 years. There's something that happened before
Yeah.
you came to this point or you guys got to this point, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so and that's the part that people miss, right?
Mhm.
That's the part that people miss. Kids benefit from seeing affection, teamwork, respect, love, conflict resolution. They learn relationships from what they witness. So, what Lisa and I do in the household and outside of the household is very key and instrumental to them.
Mhm.
They're watching.
Yeah.
I can remember at our wedding, my bonus daughter gave us a toast. And the way that she so eloquently broke down the relationship slash kinship that Lisa and I have, I was just amazed, just amazed. Her shoulders slump when Tony walks in the room, you know? Do your shoulders still slump when I walk into the room, baby? Huh?
Oh my god.
And I never thought that she even looked
Looked
at
at
it
that or
from that
noticed
way,
that.
you remember?
Yeah, yeah.
So they're watching.
They are watching.
They are
They are
watching.
definitely watching. Yeah,
So,
young and old.
yes,
They are
they're
watching.
watching.
So, yeah, and sometimes, unfortunately, parents unintentionally create unhealthy emotional dependency with children. So, I
Mm,
think that's kind of what you were alluding to earlier
yeah.
is that, after you go through a heartbreak, your children can become that emotional comfort, like you
Yes,
mentioned, that
yes.
companion, that safe space or safe place for you. And while that sounds great and loving, and that's sort of what we want from them, I think how we raise them to be
Yes,
empathetic
yes, definitely.
individuals, sometimes it can, play a negative part in terms of the whole marriage situation
Yeah, it just
or being
depends.
being trying to get into a new relationship.
It just depends on that dynamic, you know? But I want to reiterate here very poignantly is that children, your parents need you. So we're not saying that you aren't acting correctly or, whatever, you're in the way, not at all. Because we desperately need you, in those situations when you've gone through divorces and even outside of that, we
Mhm.
enjoyed you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
make that footnote, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
deep right there, babe. That is very, very deep because now the spouse feels emotionally locked out, right?
Yeah, if that dynamic continues to happen, absolutely. If that emotional dependency continues, then yeah, your spouse is gonna feel locked out, left out, and that's gonna create a whole 'nother dynamic for the relationship.
Drama. They
Mhm.
kind of feel like they're in the way. There's no room for them. This is a family, again, it's already been formatted before I came into the equation, and it looks like it's unwelcoming. So we want to make sure that that person feels a part of the family structure.
Mhm.
And Lisa and I have been together, what, 5 years, babe? Married just south of 2 years.
Mhm.
I don't feel that way at all. I always say my bonus children, they just genuinely, show me, inclusion
Yeah.
365 days a year. And no, you cannot have my bonus children because I love them. Right? So,
Yes, yes. So that's part of the love I think that can happen with a blended family, but sometimes that's not everyone's reality.
no, no. Yeah.
Mhm.
But what do you do when that's not your reality?
Yeah, it
What do
gets
you do when it's not your reality?
yeah, yeah, it gets very complicated,
Yeah.
because again, you now have, bonus children, like you said, we don't like to say stepchildren, but you have bonus children, and then for some families, they even have they may have children together, right? Depending on what age they get remarried. You're dealing with dividing time, again, if they're younger, dividing holidays.
Yeah, times, holidays,
Yeah,
ex-spouses,
yeah,
friends that they used to have whenever they were married.
yeah.
We both were from out of state. So, that
Mm,
whole dynamic, so it's a whole bunch of things that, you have to be cognizant of as being one of the spouses in this newfound relationship or marriage. These
yeah,
people, they're going through tons of stuff.
yeah.
So take your time, evaluate it, be understanding, be empathetic.
Mhm.
And also, we don't, hold ourselves in the respect of counselors or therapists or whatever, but we strongly suggest if that's needed, be open minded to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. So that's definitely one of the ways I think to help in this very complicated situation. If your reality is looking a little different, definitely counseling I think is helpful. Open conversations, with the children, making sure that you're not in the way, of children having that relationship that they need to have, with their other parent.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm a very, I'm a proponent of them maintaining that strong relationship with, their parents. You know what I mean? Their
Mhm.
biological parent. That's key in
Yeah.
terms of their identity and everything. But Where are we going from here, babe?
So I think we just have to go back to, that foundation, the foundation of making sure that you and your partner are strong, also making sure that you're putting your marriage first. So again,
Okay.
doesn't mean excluding your children or anything, but really putting your marriage first and just understanding that if the marriage has no alignment, then, the home is just chaotic.
Well, one of the things that you just said, right? I'd like for you to clarify. What does it mean? What does it look like in terms of putting your marriage first? It is so pleasing and easy on the ears, and it sounds so cliche. But
Mhm.
what does it mean? What does it look like? Let's tell our audience. What does it mean when to put our marriage first? Does that mean kick the kids out of the house and watch movies together, not answer the door, even though the doorbell is ringing consistently for 10 to 15 minutes? What does that mean?
No, I think it just looks like, one, making time for each other. So I know, like, for us, we do date nights, right?
Yeah, I just took you to the movies,
Yeah.
Michael Jackson movies. Did you tell them about that? It was awesome.
Yes, I posted it on
Awesome
social
movie.
media. It was a
Oh,
great
you
movie
did.
date night.
You did.
So it
Yeah.
was good.
I appreciate those moments too.
Yeah. So just
Mhm.
creating those, those moments of connection. So whether they're date nights or, like you said, just sitting down on the couch watching TV, taking a walk outside, walk in the park, whatever it is.
Taking a walk outside. I had to drag her last week to take a walk on Sunday. I mean, she was like mean mugging everything. What was going on with you
I
that
wanted
day?
my rest that day. I just
Is
didn't
that what
feel
it
like
was?
it.
So
Yeah.
if you want your rest, ladies and gentlemen, that's fine too. Right? So if he or she starts mean mugging, just let them get their rest. But when you get up, we are going for our walk
Oh, good.
because we have to maintain our sexy, right?
Mhm.
All right, so let's continue.
Yes, because we went way off topic.
That's all right.
Okay, so so spending time together is one way, to I think to put your marriage first. The other is just creating boundaries, healthy, safe boundaries
Okay.
around sort of what you will allow or not allow in terms of behavior or in terms of, making sure again that that time is protected.
Hmm.
Boundaries around what you and your spouse deem are, I hate to call them rules, but rules for your household, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Rules of engagement, creating
Non-negotiables.
boundaries around that. So that's another way also, I think, to kind of put your marriage first. Yeah. And to
Okay.
just, make sure that you're again modeling that healthy behavior so that your children can see that this
Yes.
marriage
Yes.
is important to you, right? And
Yes.
it's serious.
Yes. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, yeah, that's good. Good insight for everybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes biological parents overcompensate out of guilt.
Mm.
Surely you haven't done that. None of you guys have done that. Overcompensate after especially after divorce,
Yeah, that definitely happens.
that whole stigma behind being divorced and watching your child go through their emotional ups and downs. And, we want to be mom and dad. So we go in there, we try to fix everything, right?
Yeah.
Overcompensate.
Overcompensate.
Well,
Yeah, I've done that definitely a couple of times.
I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah, yeah, it has happened. And again, I think it's a normal thing. I think it's a normal reaction to
Yeah.
have, a normal emotion to have, right? Because you just feel bad about the situation, because you know it's impacting your children.
Yeah.
So you want to try to do everything that you can to make them feel better.
Just don't avoid the boundaries, the correction that's needed, the emotional balance that's important. Because
Mhm.
as they go through that, and as we go through whatever we go through, that's very key. That's
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah. And I think also it's important that, those sort of things, if you keep doing it over and over and over again, overcompensating,
Yes.
it can create resentment inside the marriage. Well, I think we talked about, the blended family issue, which is important, I think, for our audience. But I think we have to talk about some of the things that are important for the marriage just to be, like we said, supported and peaceful. Because sometimes, couples will stop dating after children enter the picture. So this would be, maybe for the earlier marriages,
Hmm.
right? But we can also do that sometimes in remarriages as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Stop dating after
Yeah.
the children enter the picture. That is so vital. And one of the
Yeah.
things A lot of people ask me, you and your wife look so happy this second time around. S- I mentioned it in one of our earlier podcasts. I had a friend call me from New Jersey, all the way from New Jersey. Tony, where'd you meet her? You guys look so radiant. You look so happy. How are y'all so happy? Well, again, one of the few things that we did is we made sure that
Yeah.
we made sure that we purposely date, and we still date to
Mhm.
this very moment. You
Yeah.
know, I just turned 60, April 12th,
Yeah.
and, we dated on my birthday. We
Mhm.
traveled, we went out on our little dinner dates. Sometimes I gave her a little difficulty because she can be adventurous. But for the most part, that's what keeps a smile. You see that smile?
Yeah.
That's what keeps a smile in our relationship. So thank you very much for maintaining. She's a little bit more aggressive about the whole dating thing. So, but dating,
Yeah, that's important. I
you
think
know,
it's also important just to kind of not be so serious all the time. I think we laugh a lot.
yeah,
So
we
I
do.
think that that helps, just be very playful with each other,
Hmm.
laugh, think about the things that sort of, bring joy to the both of you and
Yeah,
keep that as the center and the foundation of your marriage and of your relationship.
and do not allow bills, exhaustion, homework,
If you
household
have younger children,
duties.
homework, yeah.
Um, this is real sensitive. Do not allow these things to steal the romance from your relationship. So
That's in
make
the
sure you
balance.
maintain a balance. So,
So maybe the real answer isn't choosing between your spouse or your children, right? Maybe it's understanding that the roles are just different. Children need, like we mentioned, protection. They do need guidance and nurturing, but also your spouse needs partnership, intimacy, loyalty, emotional connection, and all of those things we really cannot ignore.
definitely,
Yeah,
I need all of that.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Did you make a mental note? Hmm? I need all of that, baby. We need all of that, right, you guys?
Oh,
So maybe the healthiest homes are the ones where children see love modeled consistently. And we mentioned that, right? And we want to continue to reiterate that. Not performatively and not occasionally, but intentionally, right? She loves all over me all the time. Can I take it all the time? Sometimes I can, but sometimes I
oh
can't.
gosh.
Honey, be balanced, right? No, I'm just joking.
Just remember that children are watching and that
Yes.
they will likely build their relationships based on what they see and what they experience.
Yes.
So, what example would they remember in your household?
That's the question right there.
Yeah,
What example will they remember in your house? That's the question. So let's make sure that we resonate on that and that we keep that engraved in our minds, okay?
yeah,
So, all right, we already know this conversation is going to start debates in the house, in the church, in the pews, in the cars, in the backyard, everywhere, at the doctor's office, dinner office. We know that. But we know it's something that needed to happen, and we know it's something we need to discuss, not only for Lisa and I, but for you guys as well. So, we want to hear from you guys, okay? Right,
yeah,
Dr. Lisa? We want to hear from you guys.
yeah, definitely. We want to hear not the angry comments, but we just want to hear some conversation and some opinion around this topic spouse versus children.
Yes, who comes first in the family dynamic?
Yes.
The spouse or the children?
Yes, yes. So remember that healthy relationships don't happen accidentally, they happen intentionally. And we want to thank you guys for just tuning in to this conversation. Remember to follow us on all social media. Our website is sayingyesagain.com, and you can
Yes.
follow us on Apple, Spotify, and iHeart, and also on YouTube, Saying Yes Again Podcast.
Right. Yeah. Thank you guys again for tuning in. So, and we'll see you next time, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day.